Okay, so we are going to just review high level in this video about sales training. So, three key issues in sales training are: who do we need to train? So, is it new recruits? And we also have to consider the different stages of salespeople's careers and what different types of training needs to happen based on where they are in their career. What are we teaching in this training? So here are some examples of um, topics that are often taught, and then who is responsible? Is it the sales manager? Do you have a whole training department where you have like a training director or someone that's responsible? Is it existing salespeople? Who is responsible for the training? So this comes from Gartner, but this is often for general areas or for general departments that might be responsible for training. So general learning and development can come from HR. So a lot of times HR might come in. So sometimes you might have leadership training, or you're just training on like, what's your personality type? Are you I forget what they are, INTJ or whatnot. They'll come in and do some of those kinds of assessments. If it is selling skills, um, like how to deal with certain customers, etc. Maybe that's sales, maybe it's sales operations, or it could be sales operations if you're dealing with a more technical side of the product or service, or dealing with like maybe your CRM system, or if it's some of the product knowledge or promotions you have going on, it could be product marketing or marketing. Another issue is, how are we going to structure the training? So is it going to be on the job training where they're gaining experience from basically I'm watching someone and working, or I'm just kind of left to my own devices to figure it out? Is it more of a formal program like a lot of companies have, such as Paycom, Gartner, Insight Global, Tom James, that's a little bit more formal, but can also include on the job training? Is it completely web based, or is it an instructor based? So you have to look at the type of training you're doing, what topics you're training, who you're training, to determine which is the appropriate method for training. So here are some different objectives for sales training. So make your employees more productive, help with morale. So if they are not doing well at their job, they're not making their numbers, having training on selling skills, how to work with certain customers might be helpful to help them make their numbers. And then if you're making money, probably going to be happier. Decrease turnover. If they don't have good product knowledge, if they don't have good selling skills, if they don't know how to use their resources or take advantage of them, again, if they're not hitting their numbers and they're not seeing that paycheck that they're looking for, that is going to cause people to want to leave. Maybe there's customer service related issues, or just selling related issues, selling skill related issues. So what are some obstacles that you can face in introducing training? One, if you don't have management buy-in, you're going to have a really hard time getting resources to do training. If, let's say you're a regional manager or sales manager, and you think like your frontline sales managers and salespeople need training. If the frontline sales manager is out there saying, what we're about to do is a waste of time, this training is crap, this is not going to help us, if they don't buy into the training, they're going to pass that sentiment on to their salespeople. Also, you have to be really clear in your messaging about why the training is occurring. So you need to make clear what the training's supposed to accomplish and how it's going to help the salesperson. So how do you analyze the training needs of the sales force? So I'll let you look about this, but look at this. When you look at analyzing needs, here's some of the areas you're going to go through. Then you want to determine your objectives, create a program, and then evaluate your program. Different topics that may come up. A lot of times apps are involved. And then just some specialized areas. So if you decide to conduct on-the-job training, what might that look like? So teaming would be bringing two different teams or people together that have different skill sets and them training each other on different options or different topics. So I think in the practice case, I said one group was better at this and the other, east, west, whatever they were, one was better at one thing, one was better at another thing. If you brought them together in what I call kind of cross train or team, then they can train each other on what they're good at. Having meetings, working with customers, mentoring, and probably setting a mentor. This says informal, but it's really better if you actually set a mentor and don't just say hey, go find a mentor to your new salesperson. And then just working with other salespeople. So thinking about classroom training, what are the advantages? Really good for these particular topics. It helps save executives time because everyone's in one location. So it's one message one time, or if there's 3 sessions, 3 times, but it cuts down on executives' time spent in training where they can be doing other things. Also, you get to interact with other salespeople, which then builds camaraderie, which then can help them to share best practices. Disadvantages, it's going to be expensive. You have to think about the location, the time, materials, the cost of taking people away from doing their job. Also, if there's too much and you overwhelm salespeople, they're not going to retain where you're teaching them. And then something we should all be familiar with that is highly used and effective is role playing. So you can read this, but this is just about the importance of training in a timely manner. And then this is about retention, retaining material. So you can look at these, but if you look at the, last 3, so group discussion, so sharing of ideas, best practices, practice by doing or role playing, and then being able to teach other students, these all require you to have a good understanding to actually do it or teach or share. So you can't just have memorized something. You actually have to know it and verbalize it or practice it. Other things that help, it's really hard to specifically measure the benefits. You can try to tie to, okay, they had training and now their sales are higher. there are other factors that can influence it. So it's hard to say and pinpoint exactly this is exactly because of training. It can be a little bit easier if it's a new person. And then the cost of training. And so what I've done for the cost of training is I've actually pulled from this place, HubSpot, this blog about the best sales training programs, and you can flip through them. But basically, they look at these 5 different areas that are very important. So location, length, focus, price, and the audience. So you can go through a lot of different examples. So there's on-site training program examples, and you can read through those areas. These are on-site, these are online, combo programs. And then if you want more articles to read, here's some. But look at these evaluation criteria and think why those are important, because these are very key in evaluating your sales training program. So look at these. I'd also visit this link because there's a lot more than like the examples I gave you. But this is also a great resource for your case presentations.